The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, let's talk about some interesting news we got in the heavyweight division because this news is interesting. WBA has ordered Don King to deliver contracts for the heavyweight bout featuring his heavyweight WBA interim champion Trevor "The Dream" Bryan versus Manuel Charr, who I believe is the WBA regular champion. I think he's regular champion. I could be wrong, but he's regular champion. Okay, so these two guys are secondary champions within the WBA. This has been a long, drawn-out saga. For lack of a better term, this whole saga between Trevor "The Dream" Bryan and Manuel Charr has been nothing short of a shit show, okay? Now look, I like Trevor Bryan. He's a friend of the channel. He trains here in South Florida. I've known Trevor Bryan for about 5 years. Great guy. But like he's like the clock is ticking and his level of relevance in the heavyweight division has gone with all the time that has passed by. So hopefully they can go ahead and get this fight nailed down so that he has a chance to win this fight and position himself onto bigger and better things in the future, because he's really gone through a shit ton of things in his career and just in general, But Trevor Bryan's a good guy, good fighter, and I feel like the world. I'm not saying that Trevor Bryan. I'm not making any bold proclamations of Trevor Bryan becoming the best heavyweight on the planet, but I think he is a lot better than people know. And hopefully this fight could be the springboard into people seeing what I'm saying. But let's get into the news. The WBA basically stated that they issued a final order that both heavyweights must have contracts signed in place by January 29th, 2021. There was bidding for this fight that was taking place back in March, according to WBA Championship Committee Chairman Carlos Chavez. He said that there was a bid going on March 2nd. It didn't come through. It did not. Nothing came of it because of the whole COVID situation. That kind of put a fork in everything. But now that things are starting to get back to somewhat normalcy in the world, they want to secure this fight. They want to get things moving along. Don King apparently submitted a bid of $2 million to secure the rights for the fight. And he was going to stage it on May 30th, but then, like I said, because of the coronavirus and because of not just that, but because of Don King's inability to secure big fights over the last decade or so, and him basically being blackballed and semi-retired from the sport in general, there was little to, if any, hope of that happening, even though he put up a lot of money to try to make that happen and finesse that situation. Trevor Bryan, this is a guy that has not boxed in quite some time. Trevor Bryan, last time he boxed was 2018 versus BJ Flores. He's been linked to Charr for quite some time. He was linked to Christopher Lovejoy at one point in time. He hasn't boxed in 2 years, okay? It's been 2 years since he boxed, okay? Then, if you want to go to Charr, he hasn't boxed in almost 3 years. He hasn't boxed in 3 years. The last time Charr boxed was when he got a unanimous decision victory against Alexander Ustinov in Germany. That was in November of 2017. So it's been a long time since Charr has been in the ring too as well. So, it looks like there could be light at the end of the tunnel. It looks like there could be a final resolution to this whole shit show that's been going on with the WBA, Trevor Bryan, Manuel Charr, and I guess Fresno Kendall's kind of been on the end of it too, because he's been involved as well. But basically, whoever wins this fight, when this fight comes off, when and if this fight comes off, because we got to say if, because we've heard so many times about this fight being resolved and it hasn't happened. So if this fight comes off and when it comes off, the winner of this fight could, and I believe will be getting a title shot at Anthony Joshua or Pulev or whoever wins that fight, because he is a champion in the WBA. So whoever wins this fight could be looking at getting a big payday. So there is something to fight for at stake. The long wait that these two fighters had to endure could well be worth it for the winner of this fight. You see what I'm saying? And we talked about Bryan being linked with guys like Lovejoy and Charr, but at one point they were talking about Manuel Charr being linked to fighting Ruiz. So both these guys' careers have been all over the place over the last couple of years. But Chavez, the guy, the chairman of the WBC champion or the WBA championship committee, Carlos Chavez. Carlos Chavez then went on by saying, in conclusion, he said, I quote, should any or both fighters, Charr or Bryan, fail to sign a contract, he or they will lose their position as champion and or mandatory challenger. The communication, which was sent to all parties via email, also highlights that the bout shall be conducted under the rules of the WBA with the respective appointment of officials. It also states that the laboratories to be used for anti-doping tests should be certified by VADA and WADA in order to be accepted. The WBA is waiting for a response from Don King Promotions and wishes that the fight can be carried out as arranged in the bidding. Okay? And again, I stated again, the winner of the proposed, reading from the Boxing Scene article, Descendants, the winner of the proposed consolidation class theoretically will become the mandatory challenger of Anthony Joshua, to whom faces the IBF #1 contender, Kubrat Pulev, on December 12th in London. So there's a lot to unpack there, but it looks like, look, I have to go make some phone calls and see what's what in the boxing world, but it looks like, based on the article, I can only go on off of what I'm reading because I haven't went ahead and made my phone calls yet, but it looks like based on what I'm reading that it's Don King Promotions that can't get this fight over the line. It's the Trevor Bryan side of things, so I'll have to be asking some questions to Stacey McKinley and Trevor Bryan about this fight. But listen, I want this fight to get resolved. I want this fight to happen because look, when we take a quick look at the WBA. The WBA, we talk about shit shows. The WBA is the ultimate shit show amongst all the sanctioning bodies. You have Anthony Joshua, who is the super champion. You have Manuel Charr, who is the regular champion. You have Robert Helenius, who is the WBA gold champion, which I don't even know what the hell that is. And you have Trevor Bryan, who is the interim champion. So you got, theoretically speaking, 4 world champions for one sanctioning organization, which is why you can't necessarily get mad at people when they get confused about boxing or get put off by it, because I'm confused just reading this shit, and I follow boxing every single day. So hopefully that winds up happening. You know, Trevor Bryan, like just going back to Trevor Bryan, it's been 2 years since he fought, but honestly, in terms of a public perception, it's really been 5 years since he fought, because when he fought Derek Rossi, that fight was on Showtime. That was his last fight that was on Showtime, and that was probably the biggest fight and the best win of his career. You know. Since then he's fought a bunch of nondescript, no-name opponents on like really dark club shows like Galen Brown, who was 44-33, Sandy Antonio Soto, who was 2-20. And by the way, Sandy Antonio Soto was a guy that Bryan already fought 2 other times in his career, once in 2013 in the Dominican Republic, and then once in 2014 also in the Dominican Republic. In fact, all 3 of their fights were in the Dominican Republic. So he fought the same guy, the same stiff 3 times, padded his record. Then he fought Francois Russells in Louisville, 2-24, and then his last fight was against the blown up cruiserweight BJ Flores. That's Trevor Bryan's resume. It's not, and that's not anything to write home about. Now, I do know Trevor Bryan over the years. He's been a sparring partner for a lot of names, guys like Shannon Briggs, guys like Luis Ortiz, guys like Jarrell Miller. And I've seen him spar in the gym. I've seen him spar with many different people, with different styles and whatnot. And I can assure you, Trevor Bryan is a solid heavyweight. There's no proclamations here of him being the next undisputed champion, although that will be great to see because, like I said, Trevor Bryan is a friend of the channel. He's a likable guy. He's someone that I've grown to like over the years. And I want him to be successful. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. When this, I know this fight, nobody will really care about it. But, like, when this fight happens, I will be team Trevor Bryan 10,000%, because I want to see him succeed, because I know him and I know his character and I know the kind of guy he is, and he really is a likable guy, and like he's gone through a lot with this whole situation, you know. And you know, it is what it is. From the Charr side of things, Charr definitely is going to be stepping into this fight as the more battle-tested and proven heavyweight. You know, he's beating the likes of Kevin Johnson. He's beating the likes of an old Michael Grant. He's beating Alex Leopai. He's beaten Alexander Ustinov in his last fight. He fought Johan Duapa to a majority decision loss. He's got a better resume, but you know, resumes don't win you fights, and you know, he's gonna have to go in there and beat a guy like Trevor Bryan that at this stage of his career, he was born in 1989, so he's 99, 2009, 2019. He's 31 years old. 31 years old is a good age for heavyweight. Heavyweights don't mature like other fighters. So Trevor Bryan I think he's at a good age, just so long as he hasn't gotten too fat, and he's still in the gym. And I know from experience that Trevor is generally a guy that stays in the gym. He should be all right. And I'm gonna go on record right now and say that if this fight comes up, I would be picking him to win. Um, I think he's a better fighter than Manuel Charr, even though he hasn't had the chance to really prove it against other opposition. But this is a guy, like, I've documented this in some of my interviews with him, and he said it in the interviews. This guy had contracts. He signed contracts to fight Stavern. He signed contracts to fight Miller. He signed contracts to fight Brazil, and all these fights never happened or came to fruition. They never signed their contract. So he's a guy that has been a hard luck fighter. But I'm rooting for him, and I think there's still a good pathway to a successful and fruitful boxing career for one Trevor the Dream Bryant. So I'm going with Trevor the Dream Bryant. Trevor, if you watch this video, you got to win this fight to keep the legend of Coach Mel alive and kicking. R.I.P. Coach Jamel Edie, one of the best people I ever met in boxing, and one of the best people I ever met in my life. He passed away earlier this year. He was the amateur coach and trainer, Trevor Bryan. So we'll see what happens, but that's the news. Trevor Bryan, Manuel Charr, they've both been ordered to get contracts signed by January 21st, 2021. Or no, January 29th, 2021. Or there ain't going to be no damn fight, and both will lose their status in the WBA ranking. So make of that what you will. Leave your comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just Kevin Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.